Right. So I wanted to take the opportunity of this event to explain to you, speak to the community about a few things that have been ongoing, some relatively important changes that Raymond also alluded to earlier in his welcome note. You probably have seen some of these things on our LinkedIn posts, etc. But here, taking the opportunity of being able to communicate this in full, in total, I thought it would be it's a great opportunity for communicating those pieces of information together in one go. One of the important subjects recently has been the creation of what we have named OpenAirInterface Foundation in the US. So historically, as you know, OpenAirInterface Software Alliance, which is the home organization, is an organization that was created back in 2014. That's based in the south of France, where most of our team, or at least some of our team, are based. At some point in time back last year, it was felt that there was a lot of activity in the US, and there were a few other aspects that we had learned about over the course of time when we were running operations, we believed that it was important for us to be present in the US, to engage more with so many of the users of OAI. This effort that we are having today is also related to some of our realizations and learnings of those times. So we created the OpenAirInterface Foundation, which is a US-based entity, back in June 2024. So from a legal, perspective, we have two different entities that we are operating with right now. One is the home organization, which is the OpenAirInterface Software Alliance based in France. And then we have OAI Foundation, which is our US entity. Some of the reasons there were many, many reasons, but as I said, to be very candid, there are certain things that as a foreign organization you cannot do if you especially want to engage with some of the activities of the US government, etc. So it was important for us to have a true presence, given the importance of OAI and the uptake of OAI by the different organizations. So, we created this organization with two main objectives, basically. One is to continue building open source cellular for the cellular field. As Hanan was saying, we are now turning the corner. We're going towards 6G, and there's a lot of experimentation that's going to be needed, and a lot of that is happening, even though happening all around the world. There's a lot that is centered here in the US. So, our objective was to bring the OAI software and a team that could support the activities of the different organizations that we need to operate with or work with here in the US. For many reasons, there's the question of time zone, there's a question of proximity, there's a question of being able to work closely with the folks. And then another important thing that has been discussed over and over again in different kinds of fora has been the workforce. I don't like that term personally very much, but the idea is that the next generation of engineers who are probably doing other things also to bring them back to the field of communication systems and cellular wireless. And for that, I think, I think basically everybody agrees, is that, trainings and hands-on, workshops, etc., are an important mechanism to sort of bring the level of skill up to the point that people can start easily contributing or working with open source. So for these two reasons, the foundation was created. Since that time, we actually have a few staff, as Raymond was mentioning, here in the US. I wanted to give a shout out to them. We have Mario here, who's our first colleague in the US. And then we have Merkebu somewhere over there, all the way in the back. Hi, Merkebu. Then we have Rupanjali, who joined only 20 days back, I suppose. So we have we can boast that we have a proper team based here in the U.S. And all of our team are very skilled cellular wireless engineers with a lot of experience. We are already working, with this team, with some of our U.S. partners. In fact, since the time OAI Foundation was created, we have a few companies who joined the foundation as members. So Booz Allen is one of them. They are not here today. I think they must be writing their next proposal to the U.S. government. The other group is Omniphosis. I don't know if there's anybody from Omniphosis here. Joe will probably join later. And then third organization is Episci. We work very, very closely with them. Episci, Ann, are you around? Yes, hi, Ann and Ijaz are here. So, with the presence of our US colleagues, we engage with these organizations and work closely with them in projects that we have together. And there are a few things that we were able to line up since our arrival in the US or incorporation in the US. We managed to have, with our colleagues from Episci, a project in the NOFO 2 calls. So, we are doing okay right now in the US and expecting to grow over the course of time. Now, I couldn't not mention the team that has been with us for a number of years. This is the other side of the pond, for the most part. Yes. And here we have Kami, that you have met, Robert, over there, Sagar, whose name was mentioned so many times, Theodora, and Yaroslava. We have Reem, who's not joined us today, and Shubika, she's not there either. Bartosz, he's one of our colleagues who's here, over there. Francesco, he's not here this time, and Guido. So all this team is based in Europe, in different parts of Europe. And Rakesh, who recently joined us, he's a former student of PhD student of Florian, and he is based in India. So, we have a team that is covers the globe. And also our colleagues from All Be Smart, with whom we work very, very closely. I should have put the picture of Ruben. You may have noticed, and maybe this is an oversight on the part of Kami, that I am there nowhere, in none of these teams. It's because, if you were to situate me, I'd be somewhere within the Atlantic. So, I guess closer to Europe because, I've spent more time over there. This is to say that, we are a very young organization. So, I take charge of much of the day-to-day running of the two organizations at this stage. Okay, Sagar. please join me here. So the other thing that I wanted to mention, and this was alluded to by Hanan also, is a growing collaborative environment here. Open source projects have been around for a while, like, SRS and OAI have been around. OAI has been more of a community engagement, more of a community project. What you saw here on the 2 slides where you could see our team, it was the OAI staff itself. So the organization itself has this staff that works for the organization, but there's a big community of OAI. There are many folks from Eurocom, who's the founding member of OAI. For example, Florian, Raymond, you didn't see their pictures there, and they are some of the biggest contributors into OAI, and many others. So OAI has been more of a community organization. SRS has been a slightly different organization, as you know. It's a company that open sourced its stack, and now it is trying to create a community, and that's going to be a challenge, I suppose, for them, because that's not the way SRS has worked. I mean, for the most part, they've always written their own stack. OAI, on the other hand, has been used to historically taking contributions from the community, and that is going to change apparently with the Okudu project. But at the same time, Okudu is a project that is going under Linux Foundation. As OAI has been talking to Linux Foundation Networking for a long time to bring the OAI CUDU and other components into Linux Foundation Networking, basically to enhance collaboration with these with the blueprint activities over there. You probably have heard about the the 5G blueprint, super blueprint, but it has not really taken off because there was no real CUDU and the RAN stack over there. So now with the launch of Duranta, that Sagar is going to talk about in a little bit more detail, we believe that we are going to have a bigger, stronger, more diverse engagement within Linux Foundation Networking with the OAI stack that will seed the Duranta project. So even though I said this just a second ago, but we also have a few other perspectives on this, or reasons. We believe, as some of you already know, there has been a license question that has been in the air for a long time. OAI releases its develops its code under the OAI public license, which is a specific license that was created at the time OAI was launched, and that has some components in it that make it 3GPP friendly. That's really the nature of the organization, sort of the DNA of the organization when it was created. It was important for us to work with the 3GPP because we were dealing with 3GPP technology. We were implementing 3GPP technology. It was important for us to cater to the sort of needs or the practices of 3GPP. So we believe that the right license for this work is a license that is the OAI public license. We have rebranded it while we are launching it, basically polished it and made it into what we call CSSL, Collaborative Standards Software License, mentioned over here. And that's the license under which we are going to release the OAI code into when it lands as Duranta in the Linux Foundation networking. So yeah, there's that, and then obviously right now it's the OAI team that leads the development of the project, basically everything that has to do with the management of the code and how do you call it, maintenance of it. We are hoping that with the launch of Duranta, all this is going to expand, and there are other members from the community that are also going to take more responsibility and more leadership roles within the project. And then obviously, one has to hand it to Linux Foundation that, they have been doing open source in many, many different areas for a long while, and there are certain things that they do really well. And, bringing OAI into that environment will obviously help benefit from some of those things like processes, the code quality, provenance of the code, and the security, and all those aspects, as well as engaging, and this is related to what Hanan was saying, hopefully, with other organizations like OpenAirInterface Alliance and others within the LFN environment. In fact, what we would really like to do with this move that OAI is making towards LFN is to bring all of those new research ideas and all those new techniques that are being developed by these organizations, the OpenAirInterface Alliance, etc., and make LFN a collaboration hub for all of those things. So we are working towards that also with the ORAN software community right now to try to figure out how that can be put in place. So with that, Sagar is. Well, he's been introduced several times today and mentioned several times. He's going to take charge of our, bringing moving the OAI code into Duranta. So I'll hand over to him for him to give you a little bit more on, what will be the timeline and the process going forward.
Thank you.
Over to you, Sagar.
Thank you, Irfan. Yeah. Thank you, Irfan, for explaining the whole process. So I'll tell you now what's going to happen with once there is Duranta launch and what Duranta is all about. So what goes into Duranta project? So as you saw before, some screenshots from the website. So as it explains, Duranta is more about, for the moment, for the RAN and the UE stack of OpenAirInterface. So today, as the ones who know that the OpenAirInterface code base resides in GitLab, and it's known as OpenAirInterface 5G. So, and that code base has RAN and the UE stack. So when I say RAN, it has CUDU as and so primarily, we're going to put only the RAN and the UE stack. Then eventually, later down the line, we might move, let's say, the other components of OpenAirInterface, developed by OpenAirInterface, the core network of OpenAirInterface, FlexRIC, which is our near real-time RIC. And then that all depends on the next generation's architecture. And then after that, the code base of Duranta will be built on top of OpenAirInterface 5G code base, the existing one. And then Duranta will get the polished version of OAI public license, which was already introduced, that is CSSL version 1. Now, working of Duranta, what's going to be different. So as the ones who know about OAI, how it functions today, we have external meetings, we have meetings for developers on 2 different time zones. So it's going to be something similar, whereas we're going to have different working groups now. We're going to introduce this terminology. So what we're going to do is that we're going to move our existing code base, which is in our GitLab, to another repository. And then after that, the existing repository will just function as a mirror, so that we don't break any links for the people and the other projects which are also relying on OpenAirInterface. And then after that, the Duranta will have some sort of a technical steering committee. That is something which in all the LFN projects they have it, all the LF projects they also have it. So in this, the technical steering committee is always led by a chair and a co-chair. And the elections in this technical steering committee, it happens every year for all the members who are the members of the project who are eligible to be part of the TSC, and they can be publicly voted. So it's a very open process. Anybody can come up and they can become the chair or the co-chair, depending on the voting process, or become the TSC member. There are a number of seats which are reserved. We haven't We will tell about this in, let's say, later down the line, how many seats are there for TSC members. All that is, let's say, being discussed at the moment. And then it's about the technical working group. So today, the way we function, we haven't really divided things in a way that we really call them as a working group, but now we really want to make a division so that it makes the process a little bit more streamlined. So we're gonna call, let's say, it's all under discussion, the naming. So it's mostly, let's say, RAN, CUDU working group. The other one is mostly on the user equipment activity. And then the channel emulation, which is something really new, which has OAI has introduced. My colleague Bartosz is going to explain it during the whole workshop. And then security is something which we haven't really spoken out loud about it, but now we want to really focus on it as an individual working group. And then the documentation itself, because a lot of people have said, they sometimes have difficulties with the documentation, but now want to make it, again, really streamlined, that there's a working group working to make documentation easier for all the users of OAI to consume it easily. And then the CI part and the orchestration of the RAN network functions, which is one of the most important things, as Hanan discussed, Hanan talked about in his keynote. So, and then what changes for the developers and the users of OAI? So the first thing is that as the code is being released under the new license, everybody, let's say the developers of OAI, they have to now sign a new CLA. The process is going to be even easier than before in a way, as we're going to use Linux Foundation's Easy CLA project. And then all the commits now will be mandatory. They need to be signed. So it's even better, let's say. And then the CI/CD and our CT process still remains on our Jenkins. So this way we can collaborate with anyone with their labs which are across the world, and we can use our Jenkins and make pipelines run on their infrastructure as well. And then the naming of the branch remains the same the way it is today. Today it's developed, and it's going to remain developed to avoid confusion with the community. And then after that, there is always going to be a possibility to have multiple reviewers of the merge request. Today it wasn't possible, so now we're going to make it possible. We will make it mandatory, because this really improves the quality of the code so that we have more eyes on the code. Our release process will remain the same the way it is today. That means that every week there is a new integration branch, and then there are major releases, like 2 or 3 releases per year. Now, the interaction with the community. So today, the people who ask us questions, we always tell them that, OK, write us on the mailing list. So now, and the mailing list, it's always hard for people to find the FAQ, mostly. So now we want to make it even better. We're going to have a public Slack or a platform like Slack, something known as Zulip. And there, anybody can join. It's open for anyone. Ask questions there, discuss with the whole community. And then there'll be a new mailing list. So we're going to do all these transitions slowly, gradually. And then now it's the timeline for all these transitions, which are going to happen in the coming, months. I would say it's very quick. So now, by the end of this month, we're going to release 2.4 of OpenAirInterface 5G with the old license, which is OAI public license. That's going to be the last release with OAI public license. Then after that, after the end of this month, we're going to move to the new license, which is CSSL version 1. We're going to migrate to that, and then request all the authors of the open merge request to rebase their code with the new license. Then by the mid of January, we're going to release the code of Duranta in Duranta repository. And we'll try to merge all the merge requests which we can, but then we're going to also migrate the open merge request to the new repository. That's how we're going to do. And then in the mid of February, the project will be functional, the CI will be there, and then everybody will be able to use just Duranta. But they can still, let's say, get the code from, as I said, from the old repository so that it's a mirror, nothing breaks. So next year, it's going to be, the couple of months, going to be a little bit transition. We'll try to make the whole process as clean and as simple as possible for the community members. We don't want any of our community member to have problems in using OAI code base. So with this, thank you so much. And here there are 2 links. The first one is Duranta Confluence link, where you find all the meeting minutes today for the meetings which happens. So today we are only doing TSC meetings. We haven't really decided about the meetings of the working group. It's going to be done again next year in February. But if you would like to join TSC meetings, you are more than welcome. It's all open. You can join and you can see what's happening right now. And then if anybody is interested to know more about the new license, please go ahead and you can scan this QR code. So with this, thank you so much. And if you have any questions, I don't know if I have time, I can answer. I think I have 5 minutes, so I can answer your questions.
Ghauri?
Yes, I have a question that's surely burning on everyone's mind. What's going to happen to the name of the interface? What's going to happen to the name OpenAirInterface?
Well, okay. Yeah. The OpenAirInterface Software Alliance or the OAI Foundation is not going anywhere. OpenAirInterface is not going anywhere. It's just that the code project is called Duranta, and that lies within Linux Foundation networking. The OAI Foundation or the OpenAirInterface Software Alliance or OpenAirInterface Group, or OpenAirInterface is not going into Linux Foundation networking. So if you look at the Duranta intro page on the website, this one. So it says that it's built on OpenAirInterface software and hosted by LF. So, in terms of our own work, it's going to continue in the same way, only in a different place and in a more in a different collaboration hub. The expectation also is that other organizations like the OAI Alliance eventually, who has a different kind of mandate in the sense that they don't do specs, they don't do code, but they have blueprints, I suppose, or I personally don't know exactly what's the sort of the output of the OAI Alliance, the format of the output. But eventually that needs to be rolled out into an experimental open source, ideally, setting where some of those things can be tried out, because there's a lot of experimentation involved in those use cases. And by the way, we are building the components together of that experimentation. A lot of UE stuff is happening right now on different platforms with our colleagues from NVIDIA. So the idea is that all those things will become more streamlined within the Linux Foundation networking. That's what the hope is. And there's a leap of faith, there's no doubt about that, because, ideally we could have decided to just stay where we were as a successful open source project. But, I think it's time to move on, to engage with other organizations. And this is a message that, regrettably, with the ORAN Alliance ORAN software community, when it was being created, we had told them to let OAI handle the open source of ORAN. But it was not possible at that time because, they couldn't wrap their minds around that. They wanted to have their own open source, which was not very successful at the end of the day. The ORAN software community. So what I'm saying is that, this is the time to open things up more. That's why I keep, wanting to engage with Alex to make sure that, they have a collaboration agreement with OAI, now within LFN, because this is the time, I think, where 6G is going to be difficult. There's going to be a lot of experimentation there. And I think we need to provide all the assets and make it as open as possible so that other leaders can also, come in and lead activities within OpenAirInterface in Duranta. So a bit long-winded, but, that's sort of the idea.
All right. So what will happen to the core for OAI?
The core network, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the core network remains right now in its repository where it is for the next, let's say, for the next foreseeable future. I would say for the next 6-7 months, it's going to remain where it is, because next year our focus mostly will be moving RAN and enabling the community for the RAN part and making sure that they're able to, they are getting habitual with the new repository, with the new processes, and then once we see that there is a need for the core network also to be moved, there is a need for the near real-time RIC to be moved, we're going to move that. But it all depends what community needs. Yeah. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so not so technical question, but relates to the adoption and also potential impact on the private industries, for example, in spaces like agriculture, right? So for the CSSL license, compared to the original OSC license, right? Any major differences in terms of adoption in potential private sectors from the user community sense?
Yeah, thanks, Hongwei. You mean compared to the OAI license? The current OAI license?
The original OAI license. Oh,
yeah. So, there was a few days back, there was a webinar about that, and where Jimmy from Ericsson, who's a legal counsel, who's a lawyer, he and we introduced, what was the different changes that are going to be operated when we go from the OAI public license to CSSL. Basically, there's nothing much that changes. There are a few things that, the OpenAirInterface Software License, OAI public license was hardwired to OpenAirInterface. It's said many places, OpenAir 5G project and OpenAirInterface Software Alliance. This is not what licenses generally do. They don't hardwire to a certain project. They are supposed to be applied to all different projects that want to use them. So that wording was cleaned up. That's why we say that it's a brushed up version of the OAI public license. So nothing in the fundamental clauses of the license or any wording is changing. It's only about removing that hardwiring. And then there was one further thing that was there in the OAI license, which said the applicable laws are the laws of France. And that is because the original license was created by our legal counsel at that time, back in 2016. That is what was written there, because it was created in France, and it's generally a good practice. Legal people, they like to know that if there is a lawsuit, then it'll be in that jurisdiction. But that is also not a common practice in licenses. None of the licenses that you have out there say that it's going to be the court of New Jersey, New York, or the U.S. or California. So there's no mention of that. So that was removed when we moved to CSSL. So none of the nothing else in the license in terms of the FRAND clause and all those is changing at all. Any other questions? So, Syed, hi. Regarding what you said, the core networks, there are many core networks now. There are many, different packages that people are using. We believe that when we move into, we sort of move towards 6G, there are things that are going to change there. There's certain things that are going to collapse. We keep talking about, with Raymond, about the user plane of the core network, so the UPF and the CUUP to collapse together. So there are several architectural changes that are going to happen over there, and I guess with the arrival of AI nativeness, there's probably things going to change. So this is all. There's nothing that is saying that we will not bring the core network in there. We will bring the core network at some point in time in a different form. and I mean, in its new form, whatever it's going to be. And then, also pieces that are related to RIC and those components that are very tightly coupled into RAN are going to probably slip into this as well.
If I may. Thanks for sharing that roadmap earlier, right, about how the milestones will be. On the technical side of the roadmap, I'm just wondering, is that going to be decided by the TSC, or do you have any initial thought about like focus on UE and other dimensions, any specific like feature set and so on? For example, some of the like side link feature, for example, is quite kind of being called upon by several industries. Any thought over there?
So, in terms of the, initially, I suspect, we are also learning with you as we are launching it. Nothing fundamental will change in the development process, because, the most active developers today, whether it be the OAI team or folks from Eurocom or, all Be Smart, many different communities, and I'm, obviously forgetting many of them, Fraunhofer, Northeastern. So, the way of working will be similar. Your own team, it'll be the same way of working initially. And these teams that are the most active are going to play the major role in the technical steering committee as it gets elected over the course of time and expanded over the course of time. But we are hoping that there are going to be other folks who are going to take more leadership alongside the OAI team and the Eurocom team and the names that I mentioned. And then over the course of time, let's say a year's time or a couple of years' time, we hope to see new faces there, new leaders appearing and taking more responsibility. That's sort of the idea.